shot. 30 all. Match point or break point. Match point or break point coming your way. Alcaraz serving. He's serving for the title. He's 2 points away. His father looks to the sky. Huge first serve needed here. He gets it. And the return has gone long. We've got match point. We have championship point, ladies and gentlemen, for Carlos Alcaraz and his first Wimbledon title. It was the first serve that I said he needed. He got it. He got it, ladies and gentlemen. And now he has championship point. 10 years since Novak Djokovic lost on this court. But I'm telling you now, Djokovic won't be living in the past right now. He will be living in the present. But will Carlos Alcaraz be living in the present as well? Here we go. Championship point. Return of serve. But this should be an easy forehand. It's not. He's won it! He's done it, ladies and gentlemen! He falls to the ground. Can you believe it? Carlos Alcaraz ends the 8th Wimbledon title dream for Novak Djokovic for at least another year, ending the calendar slam bid. It's the first time in 13 months that Djokovic has lost a Grand Slam match. And it's the first time he's lost on this court for 10 years. Vanch will be joining us very, very shortly to dissect this final. So don't go anywhere. Alcaraz is a Grand Slam winner again for the second time in his career. And for the first time in his career, he has won Wimbledon. I repeat, Carlos Alcaraz has won the Wimbledon title. It is his second Grand Slam. And I'm reminded of a discussion I had with Jack recently where I said he would win 10 Grand Slams or more. Jack said he wouldn't. Would love to know Jack's thoughts right now. Oh, look at that. Juan Carlos Ferrero is in tears. Juan Carlos Ferrero is in tears.
Ready. Play.
Guys, this was quite an intro from John there. I have to say a few things about it. First of all, Jack, what the hell are you talking about, mate? And also, what was the other thing? I cannot even remember. Oh, if you were expecting Vanch after this intro, he's actually not going to be here. But I hope you're going to be fine just with us. Me and Mario, I think this is actually the last ATP Weekly we're going to do for quite a while. There's going to be some other team on it during the post-Wimbledon swing. So this is a bit of a goodbye, but of course you're going to see us, on some other Talking Tennis shows. So it's not really a goodbye. But yeah, hello, Mario. And how did you enjoy this year's Wimbledon? Of course, especially on the men's side.
Hello. It's been a good way to end the Grand Slam because, the match has delivered. I think that we had also great indications because we knew that Alcaraz has in it to beat Djokovic in a Grand Slam, and also because we know that as for now, if Djokovic is able to basically play at the same level than Alcaraz. So I think that also we have had the great news that probably for I don't know how much time since Djokovic is 36, but probably we're going to have quite a great rivalry, especially for the Grand Slams to come. For example, New York, and that's for me the biggest good news for tennis, and also especially the fact that we have for the first time a Wimbledon champion born after 1987. So it was kind of the moment to have a younger champion. It's been a great match, and and that's my first thought as regards the men's tournament and the way it ended.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially after what happened in Paris and how much of a disappointment that match was. We were sort of waiting for that passing of the torch moment. It didn't materialize. There was no match like, Federer Sampras 2001 Wimbledon or something like that. Obviously, that was mostly due to the cramps that Alcaraz got, but it was also, he himself has said that was due to the nervous energy and the tension that he felt, the pressure. This time Djokovic was the favorite, and of course, oh wow, such a winning for Michael, by the way. Nice, nice of you to have confidence in our Spanish boy. But anyway, yeah, this time of course Novak was the favorite. He was better equipped to handle that pressure, but I think the fact that it was on grass and the fact that this time no one was really counting on him kind of helped Alcaraz show up. And yeah, is this Mario? Is this like the true moment when the big three say goodbye and Carlos Alcaraz becomes the new king, the new dominator of the tennis world?
I mean, as for the non-Grand Slam event, I think that he's already at the moment the main favorite whenever the tournament is. As for the Grand Slams, I see this as, of course, a symbolic passing of the torch. I still don't count Novak off because, I mean, this has been an incredibly tight and close match. Of course, time is on Alcaraz's side, but as I said, I think that even if for a small period of time we can have a great rivalry in Grand Slams between these two. I'm talking about a couple of years, 1 year and a half probably. I don't know if Djokovic will surprise me, but it's a symbolic event for sure. But I'm still not 100% sure that Novak Djokovic won't win another slam. So I think that as for the moment, it's basically a moment in which Alcaraz says that he's ready to beat Djokovic in a Grand Slam and especially in a final. But I still think that Djokovic has still something to show, having having won 2 out of the last 4 Grand Slam. We have in this picture we have all the Grand Slams defending champions, because we have Australian Open and the French Open in on Novak, and Wimbledon and the US Open as for Carlos. So yeah, I think that it's of course a symbolic moment, but I still think that these two can have another couple of Grand Slam matches, which will be very, very tight and close.
Yeah, I think for Carlos it has to be like even sweeter now that Paris happened and everyone was like doubting whether he has it in him. I guess at least whether he has it in him in 2023, or whether he has it in him to beat Djokovic, because that's not going to be an offer or like an option that's going to stand for, I don't know, the next 5 years. You either beat Djokovic right now or like next year, or you don't. Of course, he had already beaten him in Madrid the first time they played, but it was a very different situation. But right now to actually do it, beating Djokovic, I think it really adds to his legacy that he's already building for himself. And it would just be a completely different story if he, I don't know, lost to Djokovic at Roland Garros, lost to Djokovic at Wimbledon, lost to Djokovic one more time at a Grand Slam next year. And then like every single time, after Djokovic's retirement, let's say, everyone would be like, but he hasn't beaten Djokovic and like he didn't deliver in these matches. And it was pretty close, right? For him to like not deliver. There was that 1-6 opening set, and the second set, which was still pretty wild. Like he was still battling a lot of nerves. He was just kind of like his only intention, his only plan was to go forward, whatever happens. And most of the time, it wasn't really the right call. There were a lot of poor drop shots that he was, just maybe not even choosing the right moment to play them. And yet somehow he snuck by in that second set with some help. Like really, Djokovic was 6-5 up in the second set tiebreak, and he commits like the two simplest unforced errors that you're going to see from him on the backhand side, especially. And this doesn't happen. He's 2-love up. He probably clinches the Wimbledon title. So this really wasn't a match that is as simple as both guys go to the fifth set, and then Alcaraz was better in the fifth, because again you also have that break point in the fifth early, right, where Djokovic chooses to play the drive volley. Some even say that maybe the ball was going to go out. I don't know. Very hard to say. And this is what we see right now. Oh, and there's even a poll on Twitter from John. I didn't see it. What should he have done? No one voting for swing volley, but of course we saw how that swing volley ended. But no, I get it though. I get it though. It was a pretty clumsy option. Like it just didn't look right technically, for sure. Maybe let it bounce, especially people who think that maybe it wasn't going to land in. But then if you let it bounce, you probably give Alcaraz like the rally is probably going to be reset into like just neutral mode. So there are downsides to it for sure. But yeah, it definitely wasn't like a simple match of both guys dominate two sets, and then Carlos wins the fifth easily, because so many small moments when things could have gone wrong for him. And I think especially that set point in the second set tiebreak, it was also like I think he was 5-4 up, and then just went to the net twice when the approach wasn't like it just wasn't perfect. It just wasn't executed that well, and Djokovic was passing him, or like at least forcing volley errors out of him. So yeah, it was really tough. And if he was if he was 2 sets to love down, he probably wasn't gonna win that, obviously. So maybe let's talk about this. How do you feel, Mario, about the fact that Carlos Alcaraz has a hard court slam and a grass court slam before he actually wins Roland Garros? That's kind of surprising, right?
It's kind of surprising, but I mean, it was clear, very clear, that he had the chances and the quality to play very, very well on all surfaces. So in some way, it's a little bit surprising in some way that he wins a grass court and hard court slam before the clay court slam. But in the end, when you have just like, for example, for the other big three members which have completed the career Grand Slam, it's just a matter of time. And also it's every slam, I don't want to say that it's basically the same, but these things can happen. Probably if it had happened to someone like Medvedev on clay, would have been crazy to think on him winning a clay court slam before the hard court slam. In fact, it hasn't happened. But with a guy with that kind of tennis game, and I mean, versatility is one of his main characteristics, because that when you're able to do all these things on the court, you can have all the you can just build your game in order to adapt well to the conditions and to play well whenever in the world. Probably it's overwhelming the way he adapted to the grass this year, all the progress he made comparing to the last year. But what to say? We knew that Alcaraz was a special champion. So we can have just another proof that we were saying it right for a long time.
Yeah, and I think what Sporty Sport is saying in the chat is kind of important, because Yeah, I'm trying to click that
Yeah,
but new ones are showing up. But yeah, what I mean by this is that I mean, if grass is theoretically like such a small part of the season, and you need a lot of experience to be good on it, that's obvious. But at the same time, I mean, the top of the ATP tour on grass right now is just basically Djokovic. So if you can get
yeah,
yourself to number two, you're already likely to win Wimbledon if someone kicks out Djokovic. Of course, this hasn't happened in years. 2017 he lost because he retired, right? I mean, 2016 I guess was his previous completed Wimbledon loss to Sam Querrey. So it's not like this happens every day, but like if you can just get yourself to the if you can just get yourself to like the number two on grass, you're already in good
yeah,
shape.
yeah.
So
Another proof to that is that, for example, even with other proportions, but this year we had other youngsters like Sinner and Rune
mhm.
getting their. Rune, for example, has reached a quarterfinal in Wimbledon before U.S. Open or Australian Open, and Sinner reached his first Grand Slam semifinals, and both are not probably still very, very comfortable on grass. So analyzing their game could even be a little bit surprised saying that, but probably it's also this fact that on clay, for example, you can run into an Altmaier and other guys who can be able in a good day to create you issues from the first rounds. And on grass in this period, probably if you have like them an average level that is quite high, you can get away. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I gotta ask you a bit of a what if question as well. John is talking about it in the chat with Alcaraz nearly lost his first one at Queens to Rinderknech. I mean, what happens if Carlos Alcaraz loses that one to Arthur Rinderknech in Queens? It was so close, and then he
yeah,
probably plays Hurlingham like a couple of exhibition matches. And does he win Wimbledon?
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
No,
anything we can know, but like this is a great example of how sometimes just getting like pushing through just 1 week match at the beginning of
yeah,
your campaign, at the beginning of your swing, can lead to such great things because his chances would have been so much lower. I don't know, maybe he loses to Jari, maybe he loses to Berrettini, who knows, but maybe he actually wins the event as well. But still, I think yeah, just beating Rinderknech in that tight one and getting 5 matches in Queens and not just one, and then I don't know, 2 exhibition matches in Hurlingham. I think that was just absolutely huge.
no, absolutely. That's the beauty of our sport. There are other stories quite like that. For example, I remember Australian Open 2016, the female, the women's single, Kerber saved the
Yeah,
match point in the first round, and then went on to win the title. And after that, she reached number one. She won other two Grand Slam titles. So there are a lot of, not a lot, but there are some stories like that in our sport, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. And yeah, I mean, probably he would have won Wimbledon anyway, but of course it wouldn't been so easy. Also, yeah, the confidence matter is also right. um, and also playing some matches on grass, getting used to the conditions. Alcaraz kind of needed it because it's not like Djokovic who knows the grass so well that he came into Wimbledon and already played the perfect tournament to win the title. It seemed like he needed 4 or 5 matches to adjust his game at best for the surface. So probably it's right, could have been another story.
um I guess, yeah, we can respond to this question from
Yeah,
Elena. Which element of Carlos's game impresses you the most? For me, this is net play and astuity for his young age. Hmm. Honestly, it's kind of hard because everything impresses me. When he was, slowly getting onto the tour, it was probably the aggression, the forehand power. Right now, his game is so much deeper. what impresses me the most, I still think it just has to be just having every shot in the book, the shot making, the just the ability to come up with the utmost incredible shots that I can imagine. And this guy pretty much has it all. So I think it would still be this. But if someone wants to talk about psychological stuff about his age and etc., he definitely has a very good head on his shoulders, and a great team behind him. So
Yeah,
that's
no, I
also. Mhm.
no, yeah. For me, I would say the first thing for me is how fast he seems to be improving and to
Mhm.
adjust the little things on his games. Because yeah, there are a lot of things, that's for sure, but this is the one that I would the aspect I would pick to underline his greatness already at. Yeah, that's what comes to my mind first. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess now we can talk about Novak Djokovic, maybe, as he, of course, finished runner up. The calendar slam didn't work out. I guess we're assuming that this is the last attempt he's going to get. Over the years, he's only been, he's only played Wimbledon, having won the first two slams 3 times. 2016, of course, he lost to Sam Querrey, which I already mentioned, and also 2021 when he actually got to the US Open and got to the US Open final. So I guess this is the last moment. Like, how disappointing do you think this is for Novak? Will he be all right with this loss? Of course, he's not going to be all right with this loss tomorrow, but yeah, do you think this is in any way hampering his chances at the next slams? Are we is Djokovic done winning slams? I guess this is a conversation. I think I know what your answer is going to be. I think I know what everybody's answer should be, but I've seen different opinions on this as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, people after these results likes talking a little bit of shit, to be honest.
Mhm.
I mean, the perspective, I think that today he's really disappointing for sure. Tomorrow as well, in 2 weeks as well, probably. But he will realize that the perspective is kind of good, because you are 36. You have won 2 slams already this year. You have reached the final in the other one, and you have lost a 6-4 in the fifth set to another special champion who will win many more in the future and who is already at the very top of the game. So I don't think that this is the loss that tell us that Djokovic is done at winning slams. First of all, because Alcaraz, even if we consider Alcaraz the first favorite for the slams to come, there is only one. Is only Alcaraz. Talking that he can have a bad day, he can lose one match, he can be not 100% for once, and so suddenly Djokovic becomes the clear favorite in that case. And also because the match overall was very, very close. So if they play again in 1 week, they won't. But just to say, I still won't say that it's taken for granted, the win for Alcaraz. So my answer is that it's not this loss that tell us already that Djokovic will end his career with 33 Grand Slam titles. I mean, 24, 25 can be possible, in my opinion. I don't know, but it's not today that I have the arguments to say that he's done.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I would probably put it at like 75%, as John is saying as well. By the way, you missed one 5-setter for Alcaraz. It's 9-1, his 5-set record. It's maybe it's the first one against Yasutaka Uchiyama that you missed at Wimbledon. I guess that's the weird one. But I did have to check that. Of course, it didn't come up with it. Yeah, Alcaraz 5-set record 9-1. But yeah, I fully agree. Like, I don't think this really changes all that much for Djokovic. He is like ridiculous in his ability to peak for the slams right now. He just always brings the best motivation, and like the whole season for him, I think right now just revolves around getting himself in the best shape possible for the slams. He like knows his body so well, and I think he absolutely has like a couple of more years of contending for these in matches like in matches in events like the US Open right now. You probably have to put them as like joint favorites or something like that at this point in time. We'll see how the Canada Cincinnati swing goes, but Australia, he's probably still the number one favorite in 2023 if nothing crazy happens. 2024, sorry. Wimbledon, in a year, he's probably still the number one favorite, even despite this loss. So, of course, depending on how he's going to look from here, we might change this opinion. But yeah, it's very easily it's very easy to think that Djokovic could win another slam. Could he not win one? Definitely. I mean, it is a possibility at this point because we are assuming that he only has like 2 more years of his basically prime, but we call it, let's say, the post prime version of Djokovic that we're now watching. It's a bit of a prime Djokovic in many ways, in how complete he is, in how he's able to be more aggressive. But we are assuming that it's going to be like 2 more years of him contending for slams. Whether he wins them, that's something that we cannot really predict. And Michael's saying that he is chasing, that he is like Serena chasing 24, which of course was a big story for a while. A few years of missing major finals. Maybe we see something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, even if Serena was probably wasn't. Yeah, I mean it's early to say, but no, I just wanted to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with this, and even the fact that, for example, let's talk about Wimbledon. Yeah, he lost in the final, but even comparing to the rest of the field, he's still clearly superior to the rest of the field. I mean, everyone but himself and Alcaraz. As for now, nobody has really been able to really challenge him in Grand Slams this year, except for Carlos. So I think that it's a bit early to still say that he won't for sure win another Grand Slam. I think that it's kind of ridiculous to hear that today.
Yeah, and two things that I wanted to talk about from the chat. John is asking whether, aside from Djokovic and Alcaraz, who else is a contender in New York? Obviously Medvedev, I think. Maybe Rune, depending on like how his hardcore swing goes. Maybe Sinner, depending again on that. But I think Medvedev has to be mentioned in the conversation. And also Matthew is talking about something that I also wanted to mention. Do we know why Novak struggled to get many aces? Was he serve off, or was it Carlos' return? To be honest with you, like I still think there were parts of the match where he was spot serving very well, but just kind of not getting the aces. But he was still getting 3 points on serve. But one thing that I have to say is that when it comes to the top 50 and return stats, there are two players who are at the top in terms of the least amount of aces hit against them, and it's Djokovic and Alcaraz. So I think that also has to be mentioned, and like they are both Djokovic and Alcaraz are just not getting aced as much as their fellow competitors. So I think that also plays a part for sure. But still,
also,
2 aces compared to 5 in a Wimbledon 4-setter. That's pretty. That's a pretty.
Yeah, I
huge
mean,
difference,
even
yeah.
probably the wind can have played a little bit role. Even yeah, there were many factors, but I also would give. For sure, he hasn't served perfectly, but Alcaraz's return is really good, just like Novak's return. These are these are clearly the two best returners of the game. So even how many close games there have been when Alcaraz was serving,
Yep.
when Novak was serving, tells a lot about the fact that the serve was has been of course a weapon in some slight moment of the match, but was not clearly the deciding factor.
Yeah, and when it comes to Korda, whom you guys are mentioned, I kind of have to see something more after Wimbledon. Like, I am a bit disheartened by the loss of, by his loss against Vesely. I know Vesely is like a dangerous contender, and he's never lost in Wimbledon round one, which is crazy. But still, the way he lost, I mean, the how many times he was getting broken by Vesely, who's like, his fitness has been awful for years. I don't know. I kind of have to see more before I jump onto Korda again, I guess. I'm not as optimistic at the moment, but I hope to be by the time we roll into New York. And let's talk about the semifinalists, maybe. So Daniel Medvedev lost to Carlos Alcaraz in the semis. This has been, I can't even say that this has been like a terrible matchup for him for years, because they've only played 3 times. He beat him at Wimbledon 2 years ago, but Indian Wells at Wimbledon. I mean, these 2 matches. Is there anything that Daniel Medvedev can do? Is this a talent gap? Is this a matchup edge?
I was thinking that probably the semifinals could have been the other way. For example, Djokovic, Medvedev, and Sinner Alcaraz in terms of the matchups.
Mm-hmm. It would have been closer, yeah.
A little bit of I don't want to say uncertainty, but could have. I think that Medvedev is more able to create issues to Djokovic than Alcaraz has so far, and for Sinner is kind of the opposite. Even if on grass, still you don't know how it can turn out. For sure, talking about that semifinal, Indian Wells. Indian Wells, you could have said that probably Medvedev was also a little bit gassed from the runs in the previous weeks and the slow court that really doesn't suit him. Not that grass is still his perfect. But 2 matches and 2 clear indications that this is going to be probably a very, very hard matchup if he is not able to change something and to create a new strategy, a new way of playing the match and playing some points, and to change something more during throughout the game. And as for now, it seems really, really, really difficult. For sure, probably the last proof will be when they will meet each other in one of the Medvedev's favorite courts in the world. But given that we have seen this match in 2 different stages, and also big stages in the world, as for now, Medvedev needs to find new solutions, and that's for sure, because it's not only a matter of losing twice. It's been 6-3, 6-2, 6-3, 6-3, 6-3. And I also had the feeling that the Wimbledon match, the score could have been even more lopsided, to be honest.
First set there were a couple of leads that Alcaraz let slip away, right? But this was just a dire matchup for Medvedev here as well. And the serve and volleying out wide, Alcaraz wins 90% of the points, which is crazy. Some people, I mean, there's a lot of debate on Twitter whether Medvedev should be moving up with his return position. At the same time, he kind of doesn't have the technique for it. So it ends up like when he tried, he was basically netting all of these returns, or barely getting clean hits on them. When he is behind the court, he hits a pretty heavy ball at Alcaraz, and then he has enough touch, just the fantastic first volley that he has, and just plays a drop volley that Medvedev has no chance of getting to, or a drop shot if he's not serving volleying. Absolutely, I mean he definitely moves an opponent up and down
But
the
even a
court like
cross
no
court,
one
for
else.
example, a cross court with the forehand can open you the court that way. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of useless debate right now because when he tried, it didn't work
Yeah.
out. Even because if you see him getting closer to the baseline, probably you target his forehand when he probably needs a little bit more time, but not at that with the backhand it was finding incredible returns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he needs
True. Well,
solutions as soon as possible. That's the
when
only
when
thing.
he was trying, there was basically still nothing that nothing that
Yeah,
was coming his way. So
some people thinks that he should have still kept trying this, losing for losing. He should have still trying this. Medvedev chose to go back further and still at least be able to put the ball on court on the other side.
I guess the
It was,
first set was the closest that they played, but
yeah,
whether it was maybe Alcaraz loosening up a bit too much and showboating and actually thinking more about the highlight reel, there's an argument to be made there as well for sure. And
yeah, but
I
also we are focusing a lot on this return position, but I also think that this is a kind of an exaggeration because you see that, but it was not the only issues. I mean, he struggled a
no,
lot even on serve. For example,
yeah.
in the third set, he's been able to break Alcaraz serve twice, but then it didn't serve out the game right after. He could have put Alcaraz, I don't want to say some doubts, but still get closer in the third set, and then who knows what can happen? Maybe ending it in a tiebreak or something like that. But even on serve, he's got a lot of problems. But because the issues were overall in the game, even from the baseline. That's why I'm saying that he needs to surprise him with some solutions. Will he be able to do so? I don't know, but he should try something else if he's in his possibilities.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, the excuse that it was Indian Wells, the sandpaper court, as some call it, and like it doesn't appear here because like neither of them theoretically is at their most comfortable on grass, and yeah, he just gets crushed again. And you're right, on serve he also wasn't doing that well. I mean, Alcaraz was basically playing first strike tennis on return, which shouldn't really be happening on grass against someone with Medvedev's serve. It wasn't happening in the final against Djokovic. Like most of the time, he was still on the back foot despite the low amount of aces. But against Medvedev, yeah, he was just taking returns so aggressively, and yeah, it was just a blowout. And speaking of blowouts, there was another one in the semis. Yannick Sinner playing like Novak Djokovic, and yeah, just maybe something about Yannick Sinner. What did you think of his event? And the draw that was, I mean, so easy, but then again, you only can play who you have in the draw. You can
That's for
only
sure.
play who you can face. And yeah, how do you rate this tournament for Sinner? Does it feel like he just sort of did the minimal plan of getting to the semis with the sort of draw that he has, or did he actually impress you in any way?
Well, at least he broke the barrier of the quarterfinal, and that probably psychological can make
Yeah.
somehow a difference in the next quarterfinal he will play. So this is for sure. I think a good thing for him because I mean these are results that will. I mean, it will be written that he was a Wimbledon semi-finalist. Has he impressed me? Well, I mean, I can't say that he has impressed me. At this point, it was kind of due for him that he would have reached the semis. Credit to him because he didn't, I would say, flopped before getting to the semifinal and getting the chance to play against Djokovic on center court another time. And I mean, it's kind of another proof that he is establishing himself as a solid top 10 player, not more for after these semifinals. But still, it's I mean, a good result in a slam. For example, in French Open, it happened the loss against Altmaier. Here he avoided this kind of disappointment. So we can't say that the tournament has been bad, because when you reach the semifinal, whoever you have played, you still have won 5 matches back to back. Was it a fantastic tournament? I don't think we will remember it forever.
Yeah, I mean, you're very right. I think that the psychological barrier has been broken in a way. Like, it's going to be easier for him the next time he's in the quarters. But I also, of course, have to side with John, who says that it's not really a breakthrough, because it's not. I mean, he was like, you guys know that I respect Quentin Wallace.
I put the charger. 30 seconds,
okay. No
I'm back.
worries. I'm just gonna keep talking.
Thank you.
You guys know that I respect Quentin Wallace a lot, but like, if he's your toughest opponent on the way to the semis of a slam, something isn't exactly right there. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna, like Mario said, I don't think we're gonna remember this event forever for Sinner and talk about it. I kind of wish we saw Sinner Medvedev and Sinner Alcaraz, because these matches could have been so much closer. I mean, he just has a lot. Well, against Medvedev, he has a terrible matchup, but on grass, maybe you could imagine him having some chances. And against Alcaraz, we've seen so many battles of them. So I think Djokovic was just the worst thing that could have happened to Sinner, really, in the semis. And yeah, that's what happened. And basically, he wasn't able to produce anything. He just had like way too much linear power for Djokovic, which he's the best in the world at handling it. And I guess everything we just thought happened in that thought would happen in that Sinner Djokovic match, it really happened. And that there wasn't a moment when you would think that Sinner was likely going to trouble the Serbian. And speaking of quarterfinal barriers, there was someone else.
Just to say that about the semis, just to close, when I said that probably the other way would have been, I mean, better for the 2 matches, is just because Sinner is able to give Alcaraz less time to think about his solutions, while Medvedev gives him a lot of time to think what to do, and Alcaraz likes to have this time, while probably Djokovic likes a little bit less to have a lot of this time and not being able to to kind of use the power of the opponent, even when the flat hitting that Medvedev has can trouble Djokovic a little bit. And that's why I thought that in the other way, at least we could have said to a little bit closer matches.
Yeah, the hitting of Medvedev is definitely more like detrimental to Djokovic, because it doesn't actually come with that much pace. Yeah. And I think especially the post-prime version of Novak is just really all about absorbing pace and redirecting it, and playing off a hard-hitting opponent. And he actually had someone like that as well in the quarterfinals. And this was what I was sort of trying to segue into with the quarterfinal barrier thing.
Yeah.
Andrei Rublev, 8th time. But this isn't really going to be that event that we're going to be looking at, in regards to the missed chances of Andrei Rublev, because, well, he reached the quarters, which at Wimbledon, I guess, not everyone was expecting either. And then he played a very decent match against Novak. I mean, there was just not much he could do, but that's a playstyle thing. That's a talent gap thing as well, that there was just not much he could have done, right?
No, I mean, he wants to surpass this barrier, but 3 Grand Slams this year, 3 times he was in Novak Djokovic's quarter. He got that in the Australian Open and at Wimbledon. And given the fact that probably Australian Open would have been who knows, probably more comfortable as for the surface for Rublev, but this time he played a way better match. Overall, it's been a very good performance, given the fact that, of course, he is not Novak Djokovic. It's not this one. I think the quarterfinal after which he has to be really disappointed about. For example, last year he had much better chances, at least on paper. This year he reached 2 quarterfinals, both against Djokovic. Just focusing on this one, the indications are way better than after the Australian Open match. So probably with this kind of performance in another section of the draw, he would have progressed to the semis. I think that overall he can leave the tournament with a smile, even because Wimbledon was first quarterfinal here. So it's not that he was really used to play a quarterfinal at Wimbledon. And yeah, playing a great match against the 4-time defending champion, and clearly one of the top 2 players right now. It's a good sign for him to hopefully. I think he will have, I think, a couple more chances if he keeps playing this way. Maybe a little bit of luck sometimes with a draw. And I think that from the mental side, I see from him some improvements this year, considering his 2021, 2022 matches and missed chances. So who knows? Maybe if he's able to show up well at the US Open, he can prove that he is mentally stronger this year by breaking this barrier. Hopefully, not playing Djokovic or Alcaraz, but even worse, Djokovic for me, for Rublev, for how he plays. I don't know. Both would be very tough draws, but basically. Who knows? I think that he will have a couple more chances. I wouldn't be this time so disappointed. There have been better chances for him.
Yeah, 8 quarterfinals, but I honestly can't even say that he has a psychological problem with this stage. Like, he played Djokovic, Medvedev, and Nadal on 5 occasions. One time he played Tsitsipas and Roland Garros. Tsitsipas was number 6 in the world back then. And also Cilic and Tiafoe, who were just, in absolutely superb form, these 2 Grand Slams. Cilic, obviously, he got into a deciding set tiebreak.
The biggest disappointment for him could have been the way he played the final set tiebreak against Cilic. Probably that one.
Like, yeah, I know, but Cilic was just crushing winners.
Yeah, no, that's right. But yeah, at least from as for the score, that was the time he was
the
closer.
Score, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But
closer to.
I think I even heard. I read a quote from Rublev recently, which basically said what you just said. So, that he's only disappointed about the way he played this tiebreak against Cilic. But just from what I remember,
Cilic was incredible, and we know that Peak Cilic is a super dangerous player.
Peak Cilic is a better player than Andrei Rublev is, and that's just something
I
that
think so too.
He has to live with. Is peak Francis Tiafoe better than Andrei Rublev is? That's maybe debatable, but he definitely was much stronger at the US Open last year. So yeah, just not much he could have done so far in these 8 matches. Besides this one against Cilic, where he got.
Yeah, I mean, probably we said that mental side. We could have talked about that. As for the match against Tiafoe, it wasn't closed. As for the score, but we saw him we saw him crying in a moment of the match, and we saw him really struggling also mentally that day, even if probably would have lost anyway. But probably that one is the match that makes us talk about this mental side of the Grand Slam quarterfinals. But Yeah, I mean, these two matches this year are not really useful to judge that, because even if it's his 8th quarterfinal, you came on court facing Djokovic. You don't have that pressure of making the result, because I mean, you are there against a player on a 440, 42 win streaks on that center court. Um, you are the super underdog of the match, so it's not kind of useful for us to understand if there's some quarterfinal issue or not.
True that. Also, Holger Rune was in the quarters. I don't know if that was a surprise. I think most people probably didn't have him there, instead going for like Tiafoe or Dimitrov. But yeah, what did we think of this performance from Rune? Again, pushed by Davidovich Fokina. They've had some incredible matches recently, of course, saving 2 match points. The underarm serve in the 5th set was crazy, but then I think against Dimitrov he like played an absolutely fantastic match, and I was honestly pretty disappointed that he didn't push Alcaraz more. That it wasn't like at least a 4 setter or something.
Uh, yeah, I would say that we know what Alcaraz is doing, but we don't have to forget that we are talking about a 20-year-old player. So I think that the indication are quite good. I know that we are. I don't know, probably there's too much anticipation of his matches, and because we want to have that young rival already able to push Alcaraz to the limit, not only in the single match like Sinner, but probably even in the results, for example, facing him in a Grand Slam final, for example, on these Grand Slam epic matches like could have been the quarterfinal between the two at Wimbledon. But I think that given the fact that he had no wins at all on grass before this year, I think that we would be too harsh if we would judge his tournament considering only the fact that he's lost in straight sets to the eventual champion Alcaraz. Probably the match had been a little bit disappointing because it was, of course, an anticipated clash. But overall, I think that he proved what was required by him during this grass season. Sorry. We will expect more probably in 1 year or 2 or 3, but I wouldn't say too negative so far. Basically, it's the second grass season of his career, and he got away with a good quarterfinal because he beat some very good players, because beating Dimitrov with all his experience on grass. But even Davidovich Fokina is not probably grass is not the surface you think when you talk about him. But for example, I mean, probably we would have talked in another way if Davidovich Fokina didn't play the underarm. But the reality is that he won that match somehow, and yeah, probably still the fact that he needs to be able sometimes to conserve his energies a little bit more during the first rounds. But to do this, there's still probably some tennis improvement required by him. Overall, a good grass season, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a fantastic showing on this grass season from Rune. Semis in Queens, quarters at Wimbledon, after going 0-3 and like looking completely useless on grass in 2022. He does this, and I think just like with Alcaraz, like it was fairly obvious that at some point this was going to happen. But you know, Rune is like I would say they are. He was born about 7 days ahead of Alcaraz, I suppose, but he is like a full year behind him in like in terms of development or something like that. That's how it's been mostly the past couple of years. So I do think that he needs that 1 more year or two to be a serious threat for Wimbledon. But yeah, up until 7-6 for all, the the
Yeah, it was a
quarterfinal
very
between
close
them
one.
was very close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably in
it
the
was
first
just
set.
that smash, right?
In the first set, he was the only one having a break chance.
Yeah, in the opening game. So like, if he took it,
Yeah,
maybe
I
it would
mean, probably
be.
doesn't count that much, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, that's it. Talking about the Alcaraz experience, it's important, of course, having 1 year more. For example, he plays that match against Medvedev in 2021. He loses straight away, but maybe something you learn
No,
from.
definitely. I mean, he was excellent in this one. Like, I know he won 7 games, but he was really excellent. He was like an all-court attacker, and you could see that his game was going to be great on grass. And Medvedev, I remember, was also like praising him
Yeah, I
constantly.
mean, of course.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of an, not even a little bit. This is an advantage, even if the age is the same. But of course, Rune has some experience to do. Yeah. So as for now, I would say that we can be satisfied with this.
Absolutely. And I guess there were also 2 unseeded players in the quarterfinals. So let's talk about them: Christopher Eubanks and Roman Safiullin. Maybe they, I mean, they actually, like, Eubanks actually threatened to make the semis.
Yeah.
Safiullin maybe did not. But like, what's amazing stories, right, for these
Yeah.
couple of guys.
Yes, Safiullin for me has been an amazing story. Yeah, also because I one of the players I enjoy the most watching, because that
Ooh.
fantastic. Yeah, I really like his game, and so for me it's been very nice to see him winning match by match and getting to the quarterfinals. Probably comparing to Eubanks, Eubanks had a more difficult path, because he had Tsitsipas, even if we don't know how I know, I don't know, but still you have to beat him. But yeah, I would say that even if he has been, probably he went a little bit under the radar compared to Eubanks, but I like that we are mentioning him in this show. Very very interesting to see him now playing the. I mean, he gained a ranking to play some ATP matches, and to stay in this in the tour for the fall season, and so I will be very very interesting to watch him face the best, to see how much he can push his game to stay there where he got to be.
Yeah, as John is saying, I don't think the comments are coming through really, but so sorry guys if we didn't reply to something. I'm just checking YouTube and just wanted to point out this one from Matthew, who said that it was the most impressive that he had seen Rublev play that Wimbledon quarterfinal, and that he felt after that match that he would have taken 2 sets of anyone but Carlos and Novak. Very very possible, and I would kind of second that. Like, very most impressive I've seen him play is probably 5 matches or like 10 matches, but yeah, I definitely the showing in the quarters was really strong. It's just that it was Novak, and he also has a terrible matchup against him. Yeah, Chris Eubanks, Roman Safiullin, absolutely amazing. Of course, Safiullin probably a little bit more fortunate, I would say, because he had to beat Bautista Agut in the first round, and it was a great
Yeah.
match. But then the draw kind of opened up. He got into injured Shapovalov in the 4th round, whereas Eubanks probably had it a bit tougher, and as well with his Mallorca run. It was quite something, of course, that win streak on grass that he was building, which was just like Alcaraz's win streak, I suppose, until the quarters. Beats Tsitsipas in like a crazy match, and also, of course, Nori pretty cleanly, and could have beaten Medvedev. The way Chris Eubanks was playing was just absurd, to be honest with
Ridiculous.
you. But Yeah, like
Yeah, that was ridiculous. It's really
like his baseline game usually wasn't like of top 100 quality
yeah, because
whatsoever,
Medvedev was
and then
not
he
playing a
breaks
bad
it
match.
and does
Because
this.
I had a friend who was not watching it, was keeping asking me, but is Medvedev playing a bad match? Was he playing bad? I was saying, I cannot really say that. Eubanks was amazing, and Medvedev was actually really really good to turn around the match with that tiebreak and staying. I mean, the fourth set he was getting to break point, and so you kind of had the feeling that he was improving his chances, but Eubanks, yeah, has played at least a fantastic couple of sets, second and third set. But overall, he played a great tournament and a great match.
Absolutely. And there was, what was he supposed to, what was I going to say? I cannot remember right now. Oh, okay, about Chris Eubanks. Like when he was playing challengers, like his baseline game was mostly like not even top 100 quality, and here he just hits these ridiculous forehands inside in constantly, just constantly. Amazing net play as well. The flurry of backhand winners, which most of the time is still like a shank from coming from him, I guess, of the ground. But usually that percentage of backhand winner down the line to shank is definitely so much smaller than it was
No.
at Wimbledon. And yeah, it's just ridiculous what he's done since Miami. Still outside the top 100 in Miami. And I always like to point out that just before Miami, there was actually a very high chance that he
Yeah.
misses this top 100 opportunity, because he lost to like Guido Andreozzi in Monterrey, he lost to Feliciano Lopez in Acapulco, he lost in the first qualifying round in Indian Wells, and then he plays Miami, qualifies with a win over Lucas Klein, which actually took him to a deciding set tiebreak. So maybe this is also another one of these stories,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah,
That we
and
that
also
we mentioned.
was kind of cute. Was kind of cute the story he shared about the chat with Kim Clijsters before
Yeah.
Mallorca. Yeah, there have been also the tennis has been amazing, and also the overall story has been he its cute moments. So this has
Yeah,
been great
everyone
fun.
seems to think that this guy is like the nicest person in the world, which he probably is. I mean, I've never talked to him, but he probably is. With everyone just constantly saying that, so yeah, great story, and the way he has turned his game around, like after. After breaking the top 100, suddenly doing something that you probably thought was impossible. So getting to like a U.S. Open seeding position,
Yeah.
it's just incredible. And
Yeah, and at this point,
mhm,
we can have some kind of expectations for this U.S. Open
yeah,
swing. So
yeah, like things like Atlanta, right? I mean, these should be great events for him in terms of
yeah,
the conditions. So,
should be good, good courts for him. Yeah.
and
So
Matthew also says that Eubanks was on all the US breakfast shows, and they were all telling him that they can't wait for him to make a splash at the US Open. So that's also pretty interesting, right? That Chris Eubanks in like one event was able to become like a huge story in the US.
yeah,
Whereas in the past, like no non casual, like no only hardcore tennis fans would actually have heard about him. And right now, he was actually a huge story in the US, which is just incredible and has to be so weird
yeah,
and probably beautiful for him as well. Being a guy who for the past couple, he played college and for a few years was outside the top 100, and yeah, just probably not recognizable to anyone who's not a tennis diehard. And suddenly, he's invited to breakfast shows, and it's really kind of funny that it worked this way. But yeah, great for him, obviously. And I think he was definitely a bigger story than Safiullin here,
yeah.
which maybe is a little unfortunate for the Russian, because it doesn't feel like his run got any attention realistically. But maybe if he beat Sinner, or if he pushed Sinner close, certainly Eubanks was especially with the Mallorca title, was the bigger headline,
Yeah,
the
no,
news
of course, but
story.
I still think that Safiullin is happy with the points and with the and with the experience and with all. Uh, and with all his tournament doing so at Wimbledon in a Grand Slam, huge stuff.
Yeah, I think this is where we'll be heading to the end. Is there anything, Mario, that you want to talk about? When it comes to this
I don't know if
Wimbledon.
we want to mention about some disappointments of the
Okay.
tournament. I
Yeah,
don't know
go
if
ahead.
it's I don't know if it's worth even, because I don't know. I think that probably given the circumstances and his form, probably we couldn't have asked much more from Tsitsipas. Even if he could have won the match against Eubanks.
Getting through Murray was already big for him. Like that made his tournament a positive. I think.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's absolutely right. Even because the performance was
it
was
was
good.
fantastic. It was the best
very
I've
good.
seen him hit his forehand
Probably
in years.
probably there have been just a little bit of disappointment because he had his chances to progress to the quarterfinal in that match. But overall, considering how he came in the tournament, probably we couldn't have asked much more.
Yeah. So any other disappointments that you had, or actually
Well,
you still haven't
I don't
mentioned
like to
those
be.
things.
Yeah, I mentioned this, but I don't like to be very harsh on the players. Probably Fritz has been a disappointment.
Oh yeah. At the slams in general.
And also because he lost after being 2 sets and the breakup in the third.
And against a player who's like, he's okay on grass, but like is pretty weaponless, you could say. And
so probably this has been one of the biggest disappointments. Korda, we mentioned it. Probably a lot of players said it in the quarters or someone even in the semis. I think these are probably the biggest disappointments. I don't really have a lot of other players in my mind, even because 2 weeks have passed.
Absolutely. So I think this is where we're gonna end it. I know we are on like a pretty tight schedule today at Talking Tennis, because there's also gonna be the Nick WTA Weekly with Pam Shriver. With Pam Shriver, so she's probably gonna talk about how disappointing Donna Vekic was.
Probably yes.
Well, I don't think she was that disappointing, At least she got
even if
that.
She lost to the eventual champion. So.
Exactly, and she got an amazing win over Sloane Stevens, which maybe she wasn't playing all that well in it, but she still got, just an incredible,
an emotional
win. Yeah, an emotional win given how, she just went down on the scoreboard and somehow survived.
But we won't say anything more because they need to follow the
definitely
WTA.
Not. So guys, you definitely have to tune in for the Nick WTA Weekly with Pam Shriver. Definitely Korda, as well as John says, was a disappointment. Despite the tough opening round opponent, and Fritz's slam record. Brandon Holt at the US Open was just a travesty, even with the humidity. Popyrin in Australia, I think, is acceptable. And of course, Roland Garros was fine. Losing to Franz Cerundolo, like nothing wrong with that. But Wimbledon and the US Open in recent years, especially with how consistent he has been in other tour events, especially the beginning of the year, like the first 4 months. It just doesn't cut it. But that's something that Taylor Fritz has to figure out. From us, that's all for today. And as I said, just make sure to tune into that WTA Weekly, and we would like to thank you for.
Even if it's not in the ATP Weekly, probably next week's, but I think that we are going to they're going to see each other again somehow.
Definitely, you're gonna see us on some other Talking Tennis shows, and we can't wait to keep interacting with you guys. And thanks for the comments. And see you sometime.
Thank you. See you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.